What's up, everybody on YouTube? AJ was about to discuss another video, and today we're going to be talking about why Daredevil Born Again is going to be an absolute masterpiece. Most of y'all MCU fans know that Daredevil Born Again began shooting, I believe, earlier this month in March. And we've seen various set pictures of Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, him in suit. Also, there's going to be a potential storyline of him running for mayor, similarly to the comics. I believe in Ultimate Comics it was like that. So that'll be interesting going forward into the storyline of that and into the future. But also, we've seen pictures of Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock on street in New York. So that's going to be interesting to see. We haven't seen him in a Daredevil costume yet, or the suit. I feel like he'll have multiple suits in the season because we've seen the MCU, play with that a lot. And in Phase 4 and now going into Phase 5, they've had a lot of comic accurate suits for different comic book heroes. So I feel like we'll get an all red Daredevil suit in the future, and then of course we'll probably see that red and yellow suit that we saw in She-Hulk. But yeah, looking forward to that. But there's been a lot of controversy, and this is why I want to say that Daredevil Born Again is going to be a masterpiece. Of course, it's going to be on Disney Plus instead of Netflix, so a lot of people are having their debates about that. Not only that, but you've had several actors saying that the show is going to feel different and feel new. It's like a soft reboot kind of in ways. And if you watch She-Hulk when Daredevil appeared, they also played his theme,
like the gold devil.
I'm Daredevil.
So I'm kind of sensing like it could be the same Daredevil, but at the same time it's not clear all the way. It could just be, we could say it's a variant version. But we also have seen multiple cases in the Netflix universe of Marvel shows that there's been slight mentions, not like verbatim mentions, but slight mentions of like the Avengers and stuff like that.
The man in the mask.
Terrorist cop killer.
Says he was framed.
Yeah, I could say I'm Captain America, but doesn't put wings on my head.
So yeah, that's that. It's not 100% sure if it's the same exact Daredevil, like it's the same universe. There's potential that it is. I mean, of course, Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio, same actors, John Bernthal as well, playing the Punisher, going to be in the show, and apparently he's going to have a huge factor in the show as well. So I'm looking forward to that. I love the Punisher. In my opinion, I think it's the second best Netflix show out of all of them. I tried to give Jessica Jones a watch. I don't know, it just wasn't for me. Luke Cage is solid. Iron Fist, it was all right, but Daredevil and the Punisher, them back together, Frank Castle and Matt Murdock, I'm looking forward to that most definitely. But even just expanding more on that, I think the show has potential from that aspect alone. And also seeing Vincent D'Onofrio, I don't know if they'll have the Bullseye storyline. That was really good in season 3 of Daredevil. Oh my gosh, I love Bullseye. But I'm not sure if he'll play a role into this season. I mean, the season is 18 episodes, so I feel like they could have it in 3 separate pods, because 6 episodes in 3 different pods potentially. Like you have like 6 episodes and a couple weeks break and then coming back into it, because that's the longest MCU Disney Plus show so far. Of course, the MCU started TV shows in 2021 with with WandaVision, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then Loki. I said Loki because that's been the best one yet in my opinion. But yeah, that's when they started it, and now we're just getting further into that. The only thing with these shows, they just have to stop rushing things and like showing something in, like, say if it's 6 episodes, showing something in episode 5 and then just rushing it and just having the grand finale in episode 6. Like, I feel like this will build a longer arc. Having 18 episodes with Daredevil Born Again, I think it's the right call, right thing to do, and I think it's going to be really good. I think ultimately it'll come down to the direction of the show and the writing, absolutely, because I think 2 of the writers, they come from the CW's Arrowverse, the shows with The Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, those different writers in that universe, and some of those shows are really good. Superman and Lois, I think, is the best by far, but they have a couple writers, Matt Corman and Chris Ord, I believe that's how you spell their names. Those are the 2 writers on Daredevil Born Again. I just believe it's about direction on how you put this into the show. I think Marvel knows that a lot of these fans, a lot of Daredevil fans, Daredevil's my second favorite superhero. We expect the absolute best from this show, and if you're gonna bring Daredevil back like all we wanted in the past few years, with the different campaigns like Save Daredevil and all those things, you have to have it as a peak quality show and the best show. I definitely feel like that'll happen, and Vincent D'Onofrio recently came out and says that season 2 is potentially already being planned, so I feel like they have the confidence that the show is going to be really good. That's just the only thing, the quality. We want quality over quantity. That's the thing with Marvel. Like I've said in my past videos before, I think they should delay Secret Wars until like 2027, maybe even 2028, because there's been rumors that it's going to be separated into 2 parts anyways, so like let that stuff flesh out. I mean, it's not about rush. I mean, we all know that you can't take things for granted, but I mean, it's always quality over quantity. So I feel like with this, We have to have peak quality. And there's been, even more rumors about them delaying shows and stuff like that, delaying movies in the MCU. I feel like you can delay all you want to, but at the end of the day, if the quality isn't there, it doesn't matter if you delay it until 30 years from now. I mean, like, it has to be good. If it's not good, it's not good. If it's great, it's great. I mean, that's what it's going to be. And it's obviously easy for me to say that, but I mean, we know in Total Direction and Marvel, not necessarily just stuff being comic accurate, but just stuff having a great story in general. You can change things from the comics, like we've seen in the MCU and different types of comic book media all the time. But if the quality isn't there, if things are just rushed, things are lazy, things are just for laughs, I mean, no one really wants that. So for me, I wanted to backtrack on basically Karen Page and Foggy Nelson not appearing in the show, and I'm not gonna lie, that's a huge L. I feel like they have to have them in at some type of capacity. I mean, I wouldn't rather them be recast, but like, you have to have that in Daredevil, bro. Like, they played such a huge role in seasons 1 to 3 of Daredevil, of the original Netflix show, and they do in the comics as well. I mean, it's literally Nelson and Murdock attorneys at law for a reason. I mean, Foggy and Matt, they work together hand in hand. Okay, and I understand, okay, maybe if this is a little different version than what we saw on Netflix, like if it's a variant version, it's fine if they're like variant versions, if they have like a similar history, but they're not the same exact people that we saw in the Netflix Daredevil, just with the same actors, or for them to, I guess, different actors. But you have to have them in the show at some type of capacity, especially in 18 episodes. I feel like what Marvel is doing is letting all these different, some confirmed news, some rumors come out to potentially see what we get in the show. And I think at some point they'll end up including Foggy and Karen, because that's 18 episodes, that's a lot. So I mean, there is potential for them to show up at some point in the show. I mean, there's a lot of different arcs you can do in 18 episodes. Now, some of the aspects from the Daredevil Born Again comic, this kind of coincide with season 3 of Daredevil, with, of course, Matt Murdock struggling to find a new life for himself, but also Kingpin basically just controlling everything, like what Kingpin does. I mean, he has everyone under their payroll and things like that. Daredevil essentially figuring out who his mom is and things like that. So I don't know how much of that is going to be adapted. I think the Born Again name is also like for the aspect of it being a soft reboot. I mean, because he's born again. It's been a few years. It was on Netflix last time we saw Daredevil and things like that, like Daredevil in its totality in the show. So I feel like the Born Again title is just like refresh for Disney Plus, and just a new like refresh pretty much for it because it's Born Again. But in terms of storyline and things like that, we're gonna see Daredevil with the Punisher. We're gonna see, of course, the aspect and the part of Kingpin play a huge role. He's basically gonna be the main villain, but we also know there's gonna have to be some, not necessarily smaller villains, but some other antagonists that play a role, because like I said, it is 18 episodes. What I feel like we're gonna see is just the street aspect come into fruition for real. By that I mean, essentially, I saw a report that Kingpin, with his mayoral run, running for mayor of New York, that he's gonna essentially try to control these street heroes and vigilantes of some sort. So I don't think Spider-Man is going to appear in this show, but I do think that we'll see Spider-Man and Daredevil down the line together. I mean, obviously Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock was in Spider-Man No Way Home as his lawyer, so they're inevitably going to have to collaborate at some point, and those are my two favorite superheroes. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait for that. But anyway, sorry for me geeking out, but yeah, trying to control Spider-Man, potentially Daredevil at some point, Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, and also, I mean, I guess in a sense, Miss Marvel, but I don't know, her powers aren't as grounded, but I mean, to a sense, she is in a New Jersey area, so I think that would play a role as well. But yeah, I think Kingpin is gonna, try to control these quote unquote vigilantes, and that's gonna play a role into that. What I'm really excited to see is more court scenes with Matt Murdock. We got a little sample size of that in the first 3 seasons. In season 2 in particular, we saw Matt Murdock defending John Bernthal's actor, but of course the Punisher, Frank Castle, in court, and that ended up going to crap when Frank pretty much just lashed out and saying like he's a Punisher.
You call me the Punisher, ain't that right? The big bad Punisher. Here I am! You want to
remove the witness.
I am the Punisher.
But it's gonna be interesting to see how that stuff transpires, and just seeing Matt Murdock in the courtroom as well, just defending his clients and things like that. Even in She-Hulk, we saw that he's that guy in the courtroom, so he's a really great lawyer. He's a really good lawyer, like he said in Spider-Man No Way Home. But even talking about the Punisher a little bit more, we're gonna really know if things are canon. The last episode of season 2 of The Punisher, Agent Madani called the Punisher, called Frank Castle, trying to see if he wanted to do some work for her, and he said nah, he had some other stuff to do. So I'm interested to see what Frank is up to. We know in the comics as well that he's been a part of the Thunderbolts and even the Midnight Suns. There's a potential team for that, for the Midnight Suns in particular in the MCU, because that includes Doctor Strange, that includes the Punisher, Moon Knight, I believe, Blade, and some other characters as well. I'm sorry for my slippage. And also the Thunderbolts movie is in production, is gonna start filming later this year, and it also is gonna be one of the last films of Phase 5. I'm just really excited to see the Punisher back, excited to see Daredevil back, of course. Those are two of my favorite Marvel superheroes, Marvel characters in general. Spider-Man is my favorite, and then Daredevil, of course, and then the Punisher is up there as well, because I mean, you can put him as an anti-hero or a hero, I mean, whatever you want to say, but just excited to see those characters back, and of course Kingpin back as well. But you're asking of the title, why is Daredevil Born Again going to be a masterpiece? Because it has to be. I know Marvel has heard the criticism they've been hearing for the past couple of years with Phase 4, and then even with Quantumania in Phase 5, you know, landing off a little bit flat. So I mean, there's no time for them to be trash, because superhero fatigue does exist. I haven't watched Shazam yet, Fury of the Gods. I love the first film, but the second film, I've heard a lot of things like that, and the reason why I'm even like mentioning that film right now, because it just came out in correspondence to Daredevil, because there's two different projects. But I just feel like, I mean, you have to aim it right. I mean, you can't just do things for fan service, you can't just do things for wittiness and things like that, and just do things for jokes and comedic purposes. I think that's been a huge flaw of the MCU so far in the past few years, all the jokes and comedy. Now, there's nothing wrong with having comedy in a show, because you don't want things to be too dark. But there has to be a nice balance. Balance is everything. You can't just do too much of something, it becomes too much and oversaturation. But I feel like if Marvel just gets that right, and like I said, Daredevil is going to be a masterpiece as long as they have the grittiness. There's been, you know, a lot of people skeptical about that as well, because it's being under Disney Plus, being under Disney, and the MCU hasn't been as gritty yet, hasn't been rated R yet, but I think it'll have this TVMA rating. Recently, Vincent D'Onofrio, the actor of Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, did say that it's going to be dark as well, so I'm interested to see that. I don't think we'll see the exact same darkness, like Kingpin literally slamming a guy's head open from a car door. That was crazy. But I think we'll be good on the violence for sure. Daredevil, I mean, he doesn't kill, he has a code, but he does go crazy though. I mean, he definitely gets busy when he's fighting. So I'm ready to see Daredevil in combat. We're gonna see more of his powers unleashed, I feel like, with more CGI, with a bigger budget, because this is an MCU instead of ABC and Marvel Netflix. So I'm excited to see that, and I'm really confident that Daredevil Born Again is going to be really good, going to be worth the wait, ready for next year. Oh my gosh, it's going to be great. Marvel, as long as they take their time, have a great direction, have great cohesiveness with this project, I know that Daredevil Born Again is going to be a masterpiece. Yeah, y'all guys, let me know in the comments down below what you think about Daredevil Born Again. Are you ready for the show? Are you skeptical? Let's talk about it in the comments down below, because I'm ready for this show for sure. Of course, there's a reason to be hesitant about things under an MCU tag and sometimes, but I feel like Marvel is going to do great on this. They listen to the fans. We all wanted Daredevil back, so I'm excited to see what they have in store. I appreciate you guys watching. Always make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SwaggyRuss, and also on TikTok at SwaggyRuss02 for cooking videos, shorts, and content and things like that. Yeah, y'all be blessed, be safe. I appreciate the support always. Stay tuned for more videos, and hope you are doing well.